Hello, my name is James Webb. I'm 10 years old. My question is, when there is a big earthquake and two tectonic plates crash, does it sometimes result in forming a third one?
My name is Chuck DeMetz, and I'm a professor of geophysics in the Department of Geoscience. I study the movements of the tectonic plates over millions of years, so how the continents drift around and build the ocean basins. And I also study the earthquake cycle, so how individual faults kind of build up strain over decades to centuries, and then eventually break in large earthquakes and the aftermath of the earthquakes. Well, one earthquake by itself isn't enough to create a third tectonic plate even if it's a really large earthquake. And so the simple answer to that is no. Tectonic plates form when, for example, you might have an existing plate and it could be a very large plate, maybe with an awkward shape, and the forces that are acting on the edges of the plate might change, and so it might cause the existing plate to tear into new pieces or perhaps begin folding on itself. But that process usually takes hundreds of thousands to millions of years. So it could take thousands of large earthquakes within a plate in order to break it into two plates. Human activity definitely can cause earthquakes, and we've known this since the 1950s, even the 1960s. What causes faults to be locked is friction along a fault, and so anytime you change the friction across a fault, there's a potential for causing the fault to slip, or in other words, an earthquake happening. And so pumping fluids into the ground is a great way to make faults slipperier, more slippery. And so when you reduce the friction by pumping some water into the ground, i.e. hydrofracking, it frequently triggers faults that would otherwise just be stuck to slip.